Welcome to episode 3 of Haters Will Say with Mark Harley. Realize I need to switch that pose up because my front double bicep is not that impressive. I'll be the first one to admit that. So maybe I should hit you with a most muscular or a side chest or something to that effect. I think we're going to have a vote on what pose you guys want to see. Good morning, afternoon, whenever you are listening to this, my fitness kings and queens. We've got another banger of an episode for you. We're going to do some more Hater of the Week. We're going to do some Supful. We are going to look at somebody who sent in the first Saucy or Not, who's just a follower of mine and not somebody who you probably already know in advance. We're going to have a new segment called Champion of the Week, where I'm going to bring in a special guest and look at some of the traits that make him a champion or the opposite of a hater. Very excited for this episode. You know, they said we wouldn't make it to episode 3, but here we are, okay? It was recently voted the best new podcast of September 2021 by New Podcast Magazine. So I'm excited that we got that. Again, it's not me just claiming that. It's actually a thing. People voted on it. It's a very prestigious award in the podcast community. If you don't know about it, look it up, but I'm not going to waste any more time informing everybody who might be ignorant of that particular award right here, because we've got a podcast to do. So that being said, as usual, want to start off with a sup, fool. So I can tell you guys, sup, fool. This week I was thinking about something after a client of mine told me, unprompted, I'm not fishing for these kind of compliments, but he said, you know what? The money I've spent on you as a trainer has been worth every penny. Sometimes I get self-conscious about charging people money for something that I kind of like. It just comes naturally to me to like, over so many years you're working out, you gain experience and you know what to do. And you almost feel like people really need to pay for this. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or I'm shaming somebody. You kind of forget that you have information that people want sometimes and they are willing to pay for that. And I'm really glad that he feels that way, right? It made me think about this general principle of investing in your health. And I know that's a blanket phrase that people use a lot to mean various things. And it might be even a sales tool. If you go into a 24-hour fitness or commercial gym and somebody's like, invest in your health, put down this $1,000 for whatever, to get you to spend money that you don't have on personal training, etc. I don't mean just personal training, but if you have that money, I think it could potentially be a great investment for you if that's something that's going to help you stay motivated, consistent, and is something that you can learn from if you have the right trainer, etc. But I also just wanted to talk about how you can spend much less, than you did on a month of training or a year of training to get certain pieces of equipment that could potentially be life-changing, but aren't even that much. I'll use an example from my own personal life and then get into some other examples of what I mean. Over the pandemic, gyms closed down. I think I'm in the same boat as many people who rely on the gym to work out for the most part. Is you freak out and go, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to have to start doing cardio outside now and just do 1 million push-ups and burpees like I'm in jail? And yeah, you can do that. I also bought a kettlebell, right? It was one of these nice Onnit ones, the Primal ones. It costs like $250 with shipping. But for a whole year or so, it allowed me to do a lot of things that I wouldn't normally be able to do and keep some of that muscle that I worked so hard to gain. So for $250, I got a year's worth of resistance training at home and was able to do some things that I wouldn't have normally been able to do and probably kept a lot more muscle because of this one small investment. $250 sounds like a lot, but we'll go to the bar and spend that. We'll buy that on new clothes we don't need or other things. If you look at your life and take account of some of the ways in which we monthly pay out certain amounts of money to things that, aren't as important as our health, I would encourage you to see, okay, if I don't go to the gym, right? Because it costs too much. Is there a Planet Fitness that's $10 a month? Is there a way around that? Is there something where I could get a gym pass or go on somebody's buddy plan? Could I get a pair of bands? You can buy resistance bands off Amazon for $20, something I used over the pandemic as well. And if you're not doing any resistance training and you use bands, all of a sudden it opens up a whole world of possibilities for the things that you can do in your home. An ab wheel Ab wheels are like $20 and you can get some of the best ab workouts that are available, I think, using an ab wheel progression to the point where you're, if you can stand, bend over, use an ab wheel to roll all the way out and come back up, you're going to have jacked abs. No way around it. Dip bars, pull-up bars, things like that are going to be small investments that you can make that could potentially be life-changing. So I'm going to encourage everybody listening to think about what's something, an amount of money that you maybe spend, going out to food, going out for drinks, going to concerts, some form of entertainment, and say, what if I put that money in my own fitness? Even buying a workout plan or something like that could be potentially life-changing. And I encourage you guys to think about that, because sometimes that can be the breakthrough, right? You don't know what to do. Okay, buy a program for $40 from a fitness professional who you respect. And it could change your entire life. With this one program, you could change your entire physique. Are you ready to make the kind of change that are going to have women dropping their panties at the sight of you? Then buy this program. If the guy's talking like that, don't buy that program. Okay. I also wanted to talk real quickly about, I brought up Joel Seedman the other week as like a fitness charlatan and a guy who needlessly complicates things for the sake of social media, flash and panache, and is one of these core areas that I think people like this are bringing fitness in the wrong direction. Interestingly enough, he had a recent debate with this guy, Mike Israetel, who's one of the people that I go to for information all the time. He, I believe, has a PhD, but more importantly, he just is somebody who I trust to read all the scientific literature and digest it and sort of represent it accurately in a way that has helped many, many people achieve results. So he has the expertise, but unlike someone like Joel Seedman, who has a PhD in kinesiology, he has a track record of helping people implement these ideas and getting real results for them and saying, we increase strength, we drop body fat. He does it all. And if you listen to the difference between how these two people talk, I think it's very illustrative, to use a word that I wouldn't normally use in everyday conversation, but I want to appear smart to you guys. So I'm not going to do a full breakdown here, but I'm just going to say, go Google Joel Seedman, Mike Israetel. You get a half-hour debate, and it's very interesting to see the manner in which these two people speak and how they're different. Mike Israetel, somebody who is a trusted source of information and expertise, somebody who I really put up on that pedestal of the top few YouTubers, especially when it comes to the science of resistance training and making progress as far as hypertrophy and strength. And Joel Seedman, who is somebody who wants, in my opinion, to pose as an expert and a guru and have esoteric knowledge, but really, when it comes down to it, crumbles under basic scrutiny. And Mike did a fantastic job, because these kind of confrontations are tricky. If somebody senses that you're too hostile or you're trying to attack them, they're not going to want to participate. They're going to clam up. They're going to get defensive, and the conversation is going to take a different tone. Mike uses basic questioning, a sort of Socratic method, to expose a charlatan like Joel Seedman for what he was and what he is. And he's smart enough to break down the jargon mid-sentence. So at one point, Joel Seedman says something like, therapeutic stimulus. Well, I want everybody to have a therapeutic stimulus, but he's talking about resistance training. And Mike Israetel jumps in and goes, do you consider your training therapeutic or ergogenic? And I don't even know what ergogenic means. But my assumption is that it's the opposite of therapeutic, or something else than therapeutic, because he's catching him in a lie or a misrepresentation of, are you doing this? Are you doing these kind of exercises to help people gain strength, or is this therapy? It's because you're saying therapeutic stimulus in the context of healthy athletes doing strength training movements. So he uses simple questioning, points out the jargon that he's using that most people would just be listening to and it would fly over their heads. Or when somebody speaks with a certain tone of authority, you kind of turn off that questioning part of your brain. And if you can't catch it mid-sentence and call it out, you've lost the opportunity forever. So go check that out. I think it'll be very interesting. And in the future, I might do a breakdown But in the meantime, that's all that's up, fool. All right, so for this week's, a lot of people have been asking me, I decided to do the keto diet. It's one of the most popular topics in the fitness world. It's such a big buzzword, especially a few years ago. Everybody's keto, keto, keto. You'd see a celebrity transforming, losing a lot of weight in a short amount of time. And so he's like, I did keto. I'm on keto. Are you on keto? Is that keto? I can't eat not keto. So, of course, the popularity of a certain diet, I think, makes it seem sometimes like that's the only way you can go about losing weight, or that it's somehow magically effective, right? Like keto is going to do something magical that no other diet can do, and that you can eat any amount of calories on it and still lose weight, and it's going to defy the laws of thermodynamics. Of course, that's just not the case. Now, I'm going to speak from experience. I think there's a lot of resources out there that will break down the science of keto, but I'm going to use a broad brush right now to say keto is a way for your body to switch over to using fat as its primary fuel source by depleting yourself of carbohydrates and glycogen. So you limit your carbs to like 20 grams a day, and all of a sudden your body's like, whoa, where's the carbs? Where's the glycogen? Let's start burning fat as our primary fuel source. This has led to great results for a lot of people, but I don't think it's anything magical. I consider dieting, when people come to me and say, what should I eat? There are so many options, and you have to kind of bite the bullet of like, you're going to have to figure it out to some degree. I can tell you what you want to eat, but that's not going to help you stick to what you're actually going to eat day to day, because it has to work for you. So the keto diet does work for some people, but I'm going to talk about, in my experience, having done it for about a year and got great results from it, what is the secret sauce of keto? For me, it redefined my relationship with food. I'm somebody who spent many, many years trying to gain weight for football, getting up to 250 in college and eating 8 meals a day and at one point 500 grams of protein a day, and basically force feeding myself. And it's a habit that was sort of hard to break when you want to, you're out of college and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not playing football anymore. Why do I need to be 240, 250? I want to get back down to a more normal size, and that requires dieting. It's a diet that I realized made me be okay with being hungry or not eating. When you add more fats to your diet, and when there's a significant amount of fats, you're satiated, especially fats and protein. You can eat a large meal, and I would eat 2 meals a day. I'd eat the first meal after I worked out, probably around noon, of steak, like a New York strip, 5 eggs, 5 pieces of bacon, spinach and broccoli sauteed in that bacon fat, and an avocado. That sounds like a lot of food, but it's like 1,500 calories or something, or maybe, a little bit closer to 2,000, but it wasn't that many calories. But I would eat that, feel extremely full, not bloated or like I overate, and I would be full until the evening and maybe even beyond. And then I would have a shake at night that was like protein, blueberries. So that was like the only straight carbs I ate through the day. It was like a cup of blueberries and some almonds and some other nut butters. But it was also a very, high fat, satiating shake. 2 meals a day. Almost never felt hungry, right? And that's the magic of it is you want foods in a diet, if you're in a deficit, that are going to allow you to eat a certain number of calories and not go over, but not feel like you're starving yourself. When you take sugar out of the equation too, you realize a lot of my hunger cravings are actually sugar, So am I hungry, or am I just a goddamn sugar addict? Well, it's probably the latter, turns out. I know that's the case for me. You have to break that cycle, break that sugar, break that processed carb addiction in order to not have these cravings. And then you realize like, oh shit, it's all in my head, or maybe it's in my head from the gut bacteria signaling those messages to my head. But it's just something that it's not magic. You still have to eat a certain, I'm at the time I was around 230, 235. I was eating about 2,700 calories. It's not that much. You have to still keep in that calorie deficit, but any effective diet is just going to be something that allows you to get in that deficit and not wreck yourself and not feel like you're hungry and not be so tempted to break the diet constantly, so that ultimately you can get some consistency over the long term. So should you do keto? Yes, you should fucking do keto, because keto is the best diet and all the celebrities are doing it, and you get to eat steak all day and have eggs and then talk about doing keto because everybody who's on keto needs to talk about it. Or else, are you really on keto? I don't think so. So just do keto. All right. Thank you to everybody who has sent in saucy or not picks. I got a queue of them now. Things are getting interesting. I still want to do some funny ones from people who maybe aren't getting the natty or not treatment in the news like they should, Brian Callen. But I do have people who are watching, sending in their physiques, and it's getting interesting. Things are getting quite saucy in the DMs. So the first one I'm going to do is a guy named Gabriel Lamberth. So he sent me a picture of himself on stage playing guitar, looking just like an absolute rock star. February 12th, 2015. He's got the tank on. He's got his arms out. Now this dude, it's not like he's super skinny, but he's got long arms. Doesn't look like he has a lot of muscle. He says he's 150 to 160. Now, I don't think this is a year ago. Yeah, this is February 12th, 2015. But he said he started lifting a year ago, right? And he sent me another pic in the gym bathroom. See, it's a 24-hour fitness. Zooming in there. No hand washing. Probably a don't take steroid sign in the back. Per usual. And this dude is jacked. He is 220. So now, if you look at this picture, the second one where he's in the bathroom, he looks big. He looks very muscular. He's got a long sleeve shirt on, so it's a little bit hard to tell, like, you know, what body fat he is, which, you know, that's a big factor when you're looking at people and deciding if they're on steroids or not. I don't know if I'd bat an eye at him in the gym. I don't know if I'd be like, whoa, that guy's crazy big. He's so huge, you know. I think I'd walk past him. Oh, the guy looks like he has a nice physique. But again, it's hard to tell. Does he have striations? Does he have veins, vascularity? All those things that people kind of associate with steroids, even though you can achieve vascularity and leanness without steroids. But the main thing that you're always going to be looking at, and this is a lesson for every saucy or not, or every single consideration for when you're looking at somebody and asking yourself that question, whether they're famous or not, is what was their starting point, right? Because many people start out much more muscular, you know, and I'm somebody who's been accused of steroids when I was like 220 in high school, when I'd never done anything, right? Just because your idea of like a muscular person, because they have a little more vascularity, a little more leanness, you know, people would suspect that, even though it's like, well, I'm sort of big in muscular, you know, as a starting point at 15. And so it's not a huge stretch to see how I could gain a little bit of muscle and look like this. This guy, however, you can see in 2015, he's very ectomorphic and looks like a different human. You know, if this is a current picture, like he looked like he gained about 7 inches on his arms. And if the weight is accurate, he gained 60 pounds and it doesn't look like he gained a lot of fat, right? So when I'm looking at that and going, he's gained 60 pounds, and who knows, even if 40 pounds of that is muscle within a year. I know we've all been taught these crazy things like you can put on 40 pounds of mass in a year and just eating chicken, broccoli, and rice. And of course, it's all bullshit. Sorry, Christian. But to gain 40 pounds of muscle in a year, even as a newbie, is impossible, right? So, of course, I'm going to say this guy is saucing, whether it's steroids, whether it's SARMs. I'm not sure. I need a little bit more information, need a look at his physique without his shirt on. My only rational conclusion is to say you are anabolically enhanced, and that's okay. And I'm proud of you for putting yourself on the line and be willing to be scrutinized and evaluated. Thank you, Gabriel. You're saucy AF, bro. Well, it's time to get serious again because we're doing another Hey, That Hurts. So last week, I read all these hurtful comments, hoping that, you know, maybe you guys would get them out of your system and you'd stop picking on me online and trying to hurt my feelings and succeeding at hurting my feelings. Because as you could see during the segment, words can hurt, and I was hurt by your words. And I was hoping we could find some middle ground where maybe you'd say less mean things or just stop altogether. But I guess that's not the case, because I go on the internet this week and I find all sorts of hurtful words and comments directed at me. I don't know what I've done to you, but please, if we could just get through these and just stop after this week. I don't want to keep doing this week after week and just put myself through that emotional pain, this masochism that I'm putting myself through. It has to stop, okay? Can we agree to that? This is the last time, because it hurts. He looks like if Tarzan fell off the vine and hit his face on every branch on the way down to the jungle floor. Okay. Have you seen pictures of him in his 20s? He looked like a pool boy a 70-year-old rich gay man would sponsor and then turned into the last living Neanderthal. He went from the missing twink to the missing link. What? Okay. I have to think about that one. His appearance is sending me mixed messages. His hair says librarian who let her dye job grow out during COVID. His face says aging narcissist who ran out of money for Botox during the pandemic. I'm not even going to address these Botox rumors. It's just, it's hurtful and it hurts. Haven't I seen him in vintage gay porn? Okay, so you admit that you watch gay porn. See, that's a cell phone in my book, you know. He looks like if Brad Pitt had his face smushed as a baby. Okay. He has the face, hair, and physique of a middling female bodybuilder from the early 90s. I'll take that as a compliment, because there were some pretty jacked chicks in the 90s. And the clit of one, too. Hey, don't clit shame me. He's the biggest pile of little dick energy I've ever seen. It's not little, okay? It's not. And I have the stats to back that up. Mark the type of guy to get jealous of the turkey at Thanksgiving because someone said it looked juicy AF. Mark the type of guy to tell a girl to feel his muscles and then say, I'm not even flexing. Well, I wasn't flexing, so. He looks like he kisses dudes on the weekend as a joke. I've never seen someone look gaunt and bloated at the same time. Who's doing these? Like, yeah, just like, what, you know, why pick on me? Why find somebody else, buddy? He looked like he a lion to everybody about his age and acting credits. I don't lie about my age, okay? You guys lie about my age, so you're the one who's lying. He looks like he'd moved to North Korea in a heartbeat if Kim Jong-un promised him steady acting work in anti-US propaganda films. Well, depending on the pay. He looks like he lies to 25-year-olds about being on the original American Gladiator. Another person says, American Sadiator, where they hire failed actors to take out their frustrations on successful young people with Nerf battle sticks. Still hurts. His mom said his facial hair looks like the Tesla logo. So you've been watching my stories because she did text me that. Mark looks like the first trans werewolf. You transphobic? Or just werewolf phobic? Mark answers the question, what if a crazy cat lady abused anabolic steroids? Hey, that hurts. Well, I guess that's all for Hey, That Hurts this week. Just wanted to remind you guys that these comments do hurt, and please stop. Okay, so I got a new segment for us this week where I'm going to bring in my very first guest, Isaiah Miranda. Yes, this segment is called Champion of the Week. I wanted something to balance out Hate of the Week so we're not just always focusing on the negative, and obviously it's all in good fun, but I also want to spotlight people who I think are very impressive and doing champion stuff. And by champion, I mean in the classic sense of like somebody who's excellent, somebody who's, you know, defeated their rivals and rose to the top and got the gold medal and all these things. But also the word champion means somebody who advocates or supports an idea or another person. So I'm trying to find people who are like both pursuing excellence and want to be the best at what they do, but are also good people who will advocate on behalf of others doing good things and you know, don't have weird ego issues or jealousy issues that prevent them from just being supportive and good friends. So the first guest, as I said, is Isaiah Miranda.
It's an honor.
Yeah.
I'm going to start tearing up over here. Start crying.
So I'm glad I could have you on. This is a very fitting one because you're somebody who I didn't realize at first that I'd seen you before, like with all the videos that, you know, More Plates, More Dates and Greg Doucette was making about you. I first met you and it like took me a few like, oh shit, you're the guy who they did the videos on. Yeah. And I realized
you're the guy's getting shit on all over YouTube. You're not him.
Well, that's actually, you know,
I had a lot of haters.
It's very fitting that you're the first one on here because I was introduced to you. I think I saw a video of you responding to Greg or something that maybe you took down, and I realized the reason I didn't recognize you fully is because I've never seen you mad before, or like even like you were kind of like frustrated with how people were approaching the topic.
Yeah.
And like I realized, oh, he looks so different because when I see you in person, like you're always super positive. Yeah. So it's almost like a different person, and I'm like, oh shit, because he had this like I've just never heard him talk in a sort of even a frustrated way.
Yeah.
Right. So it was interesting seeing in person and getting to see, because I don't know too many influencers. Like I know them from Zoo now, a few, but like it's interesting to think about the ways in which you're successful as a young person, because it's easy to make blanket statements. Anybody who's in older generations, like the young people today on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
But when you meet individuals, you can be like, well, this person breaks that mold or break that stereotype. I always think it's important to like think of these people who are the opposite of any negative stereotype you'd have about a whole generation. So I've observed a number of things about you, having worked out with you, seen you work out, see you every day at Zoo, do skits with you. I have a lot of positive things to say, but I'll keep them kind of these underlying, like, what is it, right?
Yeah.
The number one thing I would say is consistency, right?
That's my biggest thing.
Your biggest thing. So why don't you talk about what consistency means to you?
When I first started the whole like influencing whatever thing, my biggest like saying would be discipline, consistency, and like 100% effort.
Yeah.
So that's like what I try to do every single day, or at least live by those three things every single day.
Yeah, because you're somebody who every time I see you, you're like, I had this sketch idea, like, and you literally come up, you're prolific as far as these gym skits.
Yeah.
And I don't know too many people who are both prolific, putting out a lot of content, especially with comedy. It's really like vlogs are one thing because like you're living, but like a new comedic idea every day is very difficult.
Yeah.
But you put yourself in the position.
My biggest thing.
You put your back against the wall and say you're going to do it. And then by making that promise, you put yourself in a corner and say, well, I got to come up with one.
Yeah.
And that activates, I think, the creative mindset to be like, let's figure it out. You'll come to me with premises and stuff, and then we hash it out. So it's also been interesting going, the way to be consistent is put yourself in position first.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, show up to the gym, even if you don't know what you're doing.
Show up. That's the hardest part, is showing up.
Yeah. Make a ritual of showing up. So not only are you consistent with training, you're consistent with the output, and also kind of like driven, like it's very important to you, because you could like, oh, you have all these followers. You could just be like, nah, fuck it. I don't need to do a video today.
Yeah.
But you are, you're the guy shooting the shots, doing the practice, making it work, right? So that is something that you've talked about yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, once you set the precedent of like, I'm going to do this, it's about actually doing it. Everyone can say whatever they want. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show up to the gym, blah, blah, blah. But they show up and then either one, they don't put the effort in, or two, they just completely just like, today's not going to be the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the one thing, especially when you set like, I started doing these higher edited TikToks, I guess, like with the real camera, because I used to do it off the phone. Yeah. I did that first couple do it well, and then once people started liking it, I'm like, okay, now I have to do it every day, and it can't get worse. I can't go backwards. Right. So that's the biggest thing. But consistency is the hardest thing, especially when it comes to like this, because you can only come up with so many fucking ideas. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why like I'm so open and like, I'll say that what I kind of want to do, the general idea, but then I ask you all the time, oh, what do you think about this? Or like, what do you, even the person filming, what do you think?
Yeah.
So.
And that actually brings me to the next point, would be a couple ways to put this, but I would say humble. And I don't like, humble is a word that kind of gets, it's like, you don't mean like you sort of like make yourself smaller. I mean humble in the sense of, you don't have an ego that gets in the way of what you're doing. Yeah. And that's super important for like, especially working on a set, because like one person can, by being too precious with an idea or being bossy or any of these other traits of egotism that like make you feel like other things are a threat, like somebody correcting you or giving you a new idea and you're attached to this one. So when you're on a set, like it's working with you, I've noticed a certain pattern with like other people that I really enjoy working with, which is they'll ask for my input and actually listen, right? And if you go into it, because I've had falling outs with directors too, or other people I've collaborated with, where they're really rigid about an idea, and I'm going like, I have an idea, and they shoot it down, or they don't make me feel comfortable to express it. It's
so dumb, because what I might think is funny, no one else will think is funny. You know what I mean? Or what she thinks is funny, I might think is funny. That's why I open it up to everyone. I have the general idea, but like if you think an idea I have is dumb or just terrible, I want you to tell me that. You know what I mean? So that's why it's
and
like,
you really mean it too, because you'll come to me, and often here's another thing, like you won't just go like, what do you think of this? You'll send me 2 different cuts to make it easier for me to give feedback, right? And you won't tell me, because some people will be like, oh, what do you think, 1 or 2? And they're doing it because like their friend said, you know, they'll lead a little bit. You always go, which one? And then you'll tell me afterwards, but if you had an ego attachment to one version, or somebody else said you should do a different version, and you might frame it, right, to like lead a little bit. So I definitely notice like, you actually want the feedback, you want an idea to be improved upon, and you're not like threatened by someone else coming up with a funnier joke or something.
Yeah, I want that if anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's just that's the biggest problem. They have like the ego, like you said, and they just they're like, oh, my way is the best way, and this is what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? It's so stupid. That's why I'm humble in the sense that I'm open to everyone, but I'm not. It's not that I make myself smaller. It's just you know what I mean.
But people often use it. Oh, he's so humble. You never like. It's like you're kind of using it as a synonym for like introverted or like shy, and it's like no. Humble is somebody who is confident and doesn't need to express, their ego.
Because I know that, like it's not being cocky. It's like I know that I'm good at what I do. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm humble, like is in the sense of like, I'm scared to admit that I think I'm good. You know what I mean? I think I'm very consistent in terms of content creator. I think I'm a very good content creator. You know what I mean? So that's but I'm humble in terms of everyone is in the same playing field as me. You know what I mean? Which is why I go so hard. Which is why I'm so consistent. Because if I'm not working, someone else is trying to get better than me, trying to do something.
Because you could have, and I've met people with much smaller followings than you. You have a pretty big TikTok following, YouTube and Instagram following, to the point where you have a lot of fans, you have a lot of people who are excited about you and check in with you every day and really want your attention, but you don't let that go to your head. No. You don't let that ever, like I've never seen you act like you're better than anyone else.
Yeah, that's so important because I hate it when someone's have a little bit of following stuff, they start acting like the shit doesn't stink.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And it happens. And I've seen it, like a little bit of money, a little bit of fame, a little bit of power can very quickly change somebody. But I always see you like, and that's, you express that humility through hard work, through consistency, but also like people coming up to you in the gym, like you never big dog anybody. No.
And I would try to respond to everyone that leaves a comment or something. Like people love it when you interact with them because it's funny too is that me and Noel have a joke. An inside joke where I was like, yo, I'm humble. I stay humble. Like, we'll park in the back. Instead of walking through the back of the gym, we'll walk to the front. She's like, can we just walk through the back? And I'm like, I'm humble. Why can't I? If he's walking to the front, why can't I walk to the front?
Hilarious.
You know what I mean? So it keeps myself grounded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's funny. But that's a good little inside joke that is rooted in truth. The next thing I was going to say is that you stay positive. Yeah. Like as I was saying,
I try to as well.
You always, like seeing a video where you looked frustrated, it seems so different than you, how I see you every day, which is like, you're excited to get to work. You're excited to come up with new ideas. You're always cracking jokes and laughing and like just not taking yourself so seriously that you can't be open to humor and like the fun of everything. Like we're at Zoo Culture, we're making skits. Like you have this mindset also, and maybe you do get in bad moods. Like I don't really see that, but like
I mean everyone does.
Yes.
But the funny thing is like the reason I'm so excited and so like try to keep positive mindset all the time is that last year I wasn't doing this, I've had so many jobs working, I was in school.
I forget that it's only been this short amount of time.
This November would be a year. Yeah. Exactly. So I've only been out here for a year, but I was in and out of school having, any job you can think of, factories, warehouse, server, waiter, everything. Right. And I hated it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, listen to what you just said. I'm making skits at Zoo Culture, working out, being an influencer. That's not a lot of people can do that. You know what I mean? We don't have, I don't have that 9 to 5. You don't have that 9 to 5. So that's why.
And then the final thing I'll say is, and I agree with all of that, like having had those experiences, keeping it fresh in your mind, I think is a great way to cultivate gratitude towards the position that you're in now. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
The final thing I'll say is you're willing to learn. So you're always coming to me going like, oh, what did you do there? Or I like the way you did this. As an actor, you're always observing and picking up on stuff, which is kind of a facet of not having a huge ego, is that, but you're approaching everything not like I'm the shit and I'm so good at this TikTok shit, whatever. You're going, how can I learn and get a little better from everyone who I work with?
Because there's always something you can take. There's always something you can learn from somebody.
Yes.
Especially someone like you've been in this acting stuff for a while. It's funny. We were watching the game on Saturday. Yeah. And I was doing something and I was like, yo, is that Mark on TV? And it was one of your commercials, so you've done this. So that's why I'm always asking, like, and I love learning. That's why I love shooting with you, because I always take something away from everything you do.
And you can see that with your skits. Like I've seen you in real time get better at acting from those reps and keeping open-minded and just observing, taking note, and then implementing it. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to look forward to having you on as a full guest when I start having guests, but I just wanted to start off this segment because I've got to have so much firsthand experience with you and kind of translate that to the world and say, like, you want to be like an influencer or whatever, like it's cool, but it's not like you're just someone's taking pictures of you and kind of like, you work really hard, you're really consistent, and it's no mistake that you're where you're at.
Yeah. A lot of haters will say different. I appreciate it.
Good shit, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right, guys. So I promised I'd hit you with some more poses. We're doing the side chest. We're the most muscular. We're doing, whatever this is called. I want you guys to vote. What's your favorite pose? What kind of pose do you want to see next week? Do you want to see me do the podcast shirtless? I don't know. Thanks for tuning in to the 3rd episode. I couldn't be happier that, people are subscribing, liking, commenting. I appreciate each and every one of you. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your aunts and uncles, tell them, hey, there's this cool guy on YouTube, and I just think you might be able to learn something from him, because it's true. You can learn stuff from me, and you can also hurt my feelings. So stop leaving mean comments, okay? Can we just agree to that? Episode 4, I don't want to have to do this again. I just want some nice comments on my YouTube page. Bye. I can't.